The court strongly advises you to obtain criminal counsel, Ms. Reed. That's what the judge said. Slow and calm, like she wasn't dropping a grenade in the middle of that courtroom. And I watched Pamela Reed, Maple Ridge HOA president, queen of fines, queen of threats, queen of I get what I want, finally lose that perfect little smile she always had when she was stepping on somebody's neck. And I'm standing there in the same jeans I wear to work, hands still smelling like sawdust from my shop, thinking to myself, how did a guy who just wanted to trim a dead branch off a sycamore tree end up in here watching an HOA president get told she needs a criminal defense lawyer? So let me tell you how it happened, because it did not start in a courtroom. It started in my yard, in the place I was raised to believe was mine. Full stop. My name's Jake Miller. I'm 13. I build furniture out of my garage on Cedar Lane, and I live in the same small ranch house my granddad bought back in 1974. I'm not rich, I'm not political, I don't have connections. I got an old pickup, a busted coffee maker, and a sycamore tree out back. That means more to me than most people will ever understand. My parents got married under that tree. I proposed under that tree. The roots go down into family. You get me, so when I was out there one morning taking a dead limb off it so it wouldn't fall on the roof, I was not expecting to hear a woman's voice behind me. Go, you're trespassing on HOA property, like she was a cop and I was already guilty. I turn around, pruning saw still in my hand, and there's this woman at the edge of my lawn, blazer, clipboard, sunglasses, the whole corporate intimidation starter kit. And she looks me up and down like she's inspecting damage, and she says, "This tree falls under Maple Ridge jurisdiction. Now any unauthorized modification is a violation. Fines start at $500 per day, retroactive." And I laugh because I think it has to be a prank. And I go, "I'm sorry, what?" And she does this slow smile, like I'm cute for not understanding, and says, "I'm Pamela Reed, president of the Maple Ridge Homeowners Association." And she hands me a cease and desist, like she's serving me court papers. And now, here's the part. You gotta understand. I am not in Maple Ridge. Maple Ridge is the subdivision 2 blocks over with the matching mailboxes and the newsletter. My house predates Maple Ridge by 20 years. My granddad poured this driveway with his bare hands. We never signed their covenants. We never paid their dues. Nothing. So I tell her that I say, "Pamela, I'm not in your HOA, this is my property." And she just tilts her chin and goes, "Maple Ridge expanded its charter as of last month under the updated governance structure. Any property that benefits from Maple Ridge infrastructure falls under Maple Ridge Authority. You use our water system. You drive on our maintained roads. Therefore, you bound under our governance." And I swear to you, she said it like it was already law, like she had been waiting to deliver that line in someone's face. I tell her no. She says yes. I tell her, "Show me the law." She points to a packet. A packet. She clearly printed herself full of made-up regulation numbers and scary language, and in the middle of me explaining that she's standing on private property, she leans in real close and says quietly, "Listen, Jake, we can do this the easy way. You sign acknowledgement that you're under Maple Ridge Authority. You be the initial violation, and this doesn't have to get ugly." And something in the way she said, "This doesn't have to get ugly," made me go cold. So I call the sheriff's office right in front of her like, "Hi, this is Jake Miller on Cedar Lane. I got someone here, claiming I'm trespassing on my own property. Can you send someone?" And you could see it, just a flicker. She did not like. That 10 minutes later. Sergeant Ruiz pulls up local. Guy knows everybody listens to her. Yap for a full minute about expanded jurisdiction and retroactive compliance, then turns to me and goes, "Jake, are you, or have you ever been a member of Maple Ridge HOA?" And I go, "No, sir." And he turns back to her and says, "Ma'am, without a signed agreement, you're currently on his land. Without permission, so unless you'd like him to press trespassing charges, I'm going to ask you to leave." And Pamela smiles, but it's not friendly anymore. It's tight. And as she's walking off, she leans in again and whispers in my ear, "This isn't over, Mr. Miller. I always get compliance one way or another," and walks back to her SUV like she just promised me a funeral, and I'm still thinking, yeah, sure, that's the end. Couple weird letters. Maybe whatever, she got embarrassed by a cop, and she'll move on to the next house. She can bully. Right? Yeah. No, that afternoon, my mailbox has 3 envelopes from Maple Ridge with red stamps. Like it's blood pressure. First envelope says, "I'm being fined $500 per day for unauthorized pruning." Second envelope says, "I owe an additional $1,000 for an unapproved exterior structure, which is my workshop, the same workshop that's been in my backyard since '78. The third one straight up says, "I'm delinquent that if I don't correct my violations, Maple Ridge will pursue recovery options including lien placement." Lien like they were going to slap debt onto my house because I told them no. You see why I went from annoyed to angry real fast, right? So I'm standing in my kitchen reading that, and my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number that says, "You think calling the cops protects you? Check your mailbox tomorrow. Some battles are won with paper, not police." And I swear to you, I felt that in my stomach like ice, because that was the moment I realized this lady did not bluff. She escalates. I did something I never thought I'd have to do in my life. I hired a lawyer. Her name's Lauren Grant. Tiny office over a bakery. Zero patience for bullies. I bring in the envelopes, and she spreads them out on her desk and goes, "Oh, I've been waiting for Maple Ridge." And then she starts laughing. Not because it's funny, because it's bold. She points at Pamela's packet and says, "These regulations," she's quoting, "don't exist. Zone of benefit is not a legal category in this state, and without a signed covenant, they can't enforce anything on you. They can't line you. They can't fine you. They can talk loud, but legally they have air." And I'm like, okay, good. So I'm safe. And Lauren looks at me and goes, "No, you're not safe. You're in a fight." And then she shows me why she pulls files on other people. Maple Ridge hit a single mom who voluntarily joined after Pamela told her she'd report her in-home daycare, an older guy who broke down and signed after Pamela started sending letters to his bank. You hear what I'm saying? This wasn't about lawns and mailboxes and trash cans out too long. This was calculated pressure. Pick. Somebody isolate them. Drown them in fake fines. Threaten their money. Threaten their house. Keep squeezing until paying. Looks easier than standing up. That was the business model. So we start documenting every envelope, every text, every car that slows down in front of my place. At 2 in the morning, I put up trail cameras, which turned out to be smart, because 2 nights later, someone in a hoodie came around my workshop, taking pictures through the windows. Nothing stolen. Drawers opened, then closed. Just letting me know, hey, we can walk in your life whenever we feel like it. Yeah, that happened then. Maple Ridge filed a lien, an actual lien on my house for 5 years of unpaid Maple Ridge assessments. 5 years. 5 years of dues to an HOA. I never signed with 5 years from before Pamela even knew my name. And Lauren's like, filing a fraudulent lien is a felony. She's not playing HOA anymore. She's playing extortion. And that was it for me. That was the snap. Fear flipped to anger. Anger flipped to focus. And I told her, okay, we're done being nice. This is where the twist hits. And if you think it's already crazy, buckle up, because Pamela didn't just try to bully me. She tried to rewrite reality on paper and sell it as truth. We get a courtesy notice from county planning, talking real casual, like, "Hi there. We're reviewing a possible historical classification error regarding your lot. There's a chance your property was always intended to be inside Maple Ridge's boundary. Always intended, like I'm some missing puzzle piece. They forgot to snap in place." And Lauren goes ice cold and says, "They're altering maps." And a couple days later, we meet this county guy, Evan. Real nervous, eyes red, like he hasn't slept. And he slides us copies of 2 maps, original parcel map. From the 70s, showing my house, sitting clearly outside Maple Ridge. And then the corrected version. Somebody just made, where my lot is shaded, Maple Ridge pink, and labeled Original HOA Coverage Zone. And Evan says, "My supervisor told me to update the record, said it was just fixing a clerical error." I checked. There's no clerical error. They're falsifying land records to make it look like you always belonged to them. I can't be part of stealing someone's house. And I'm sitting there in this diner, holding proof that Pamela wasn't just talking tough. She was trying to change official records so she could legally claim me. Like I was livestock that wandered off the fence. So at that point, we're done playing defense. Lauren pulls other people together. Other folks. Pamela went after Marcus, who owns land behind me. Elena, who runs the flower shop. She tried to fine for non-compliant plant species, Henry, who Pamela basically shook down. And we build a case, not a complaint. A case, harassment fraud, filing fraudulent liens, tampering with public records, money getting funneled out of Maple Ridge into these so-called compliance consultants that don't exist 6 months later. We're talking RICO-type language, and right when we're about to file for an injunction, Pamela tries to flip the story in public. Maple Ridge holds this big emergency HOA meeting. Members only packed room projector, full theater, and I'm not invited because I'm not a member. So I'm standing outside in the hallway with one of my neighbors, listening through the glass, like some budget spy drama. And I watch Pamela stand up there and tell everybody. We have identified an active fraud attempt against Maple Ridge. Someone is falsifying deeds, spreading lies, attempting to destroy property values. And then a giant photo of me pops up on the projector, and she starts showing pictures from inside my house. Yeah, inside pictures of my deed, my workshop. Even the notes from my lawyer stuff she got because my own neighbor, Tom, 70 years old, shakes your hand. Every trash day, Tom had been feeding her because Pamela told him she'd help with his tax problem if he helped her bury me. And there's this edited audio she plays, where I sound like I'm bragging about faking documents, totally chopped, totally out of context. And people in that room are gasping, like I'm the villain, like I'm some scam artist who got caught. And I'm standing there in that hallway with my heart in my throat, because I can't even defend myself. And then Tom comes out to me, shaking like he's gonna fall apart. And he goes, "I recorded her. Jake, I wore a wire on her for a week. Every threat, every time she said she'd bleed you until you sign, every time she said she'd fix the maps, every time she said she'd lien you just to choke you out financially. I'll testify. I'm done being scared of that woman. And I swear to you, my knees almost gave out, because that was the moment this stopped feeling like me against a machine and started feeling like a machine cracking from the inside." Next day, we walk into court. with everything real. Deed, real maps, the fake maps, the lien, notice, the text messages, Tom's recordings, Evan from county planning. All of it. Pamela shows up with her lawyer like she's already won her guy. Tells the judge I'm a fraud, that I forged dates on my deed to dodge legitimate HOA assessments. Like I'm the scammer here, and the judge just looks at him and says, "Do you have the original deed you're accusing him of altering?" And he starts to say, "The originals remain in his possession," and he's refused. And Lauren, my lawyer, does not even let him finish. She stands up and goes, "Your Honor, we have the originals, and we have 3 independent forensic certifications that say this deed has been untouched since 1974, which is roughly 20 years before Maple Ridge HOA legally existed." And I watch Pamela's face crack. Just for a second then, Lauren hits play on Tom's recordings, and the courtroom fills with Pamela's voice. Not rumors, not he said. She said her voice on audio saying, "We bleed them until they sign. File the lien. I don't care if it's real. Once the bank sees it, he's finished. If county records don't match our boundary map, we fix the map." Nobody fights clerical corrections. You could feel the whole room change temperature. Board members who walked in, ready to defend her, are now sliding away from her like she's radioactive. The judge leans back, takes a breath, and says, "Effective immediately, Maple Ridge is prohibited from any enforcement action on properties not under signed covenant. Any liens filed against Mr. Miller or any other non-member are void as of this moment. And due to apparent attempts to falsify county records, this matter is being referred to the District Attorney, Ms. Reed. The court strongly advises you to obtain criminal counsel. And I'm telling you, watching Pamela hear that, watching that mask fall off her face, it didn't feel like winning a game. It felt like finally getting to breathe after you've been held underwater for too long. You know what I mean? And here's the part I really want to ask you, because I keep thinking about this. At what point does "we're just keeping the neighborhood nice" turn into straight-up abuse of power? How many times have you seen somebody with a tiny title? It's like they're the law just because nobody ever stood up to them. And be honest, if you were me, would you have fought it like this? Or would you have just paid the fine and hoped it went away? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Tell me if you've ever had an HOA or a landlord or a boss try to scare you quiet. And tell me this. Do you think Pamela got what she deserved? Or do you think people like her are still necessary to keep order?